RPC call struggler. Do 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 do. Oh, some early morning stretching. I'm gonna paint a bit. This is where I set the width. Okay. The girth of my brush, so to say. All right. So we have a client, no, a server, and a client. When the client joins, it should say, I joined. I joined. The server should send back latest wait a minute, it should actually load the game. So load game and RPC I joined. Load game scene. RPC I joined. And then it will get back game state. And the game state is like dynamic objects. Dynamic objects. And their location. Like their, not only location, but like their state. That's a good first loading step. And then like I clicked or I pressed action. Actions. This is not readable. What the fuck? Like actions. Like I clicked X, Y. And then I guess on every tick, the server should just send back new game state. send every tick. So as a client, you need to send when you joined and your actions, and the server needs to send back the game state. That should be all. Server calls this. Okay, so we have an RPC here already. Where is this called from? RPC calls Godot. Func ready. But this is just going to run once per client. Really? Is this working? Does this work? I feel like I should kind of rewrite this myself so I understand. Multiplayer, peer connected, peer disconnected. On connected server. Only emitted on clients. So that's a client. So this seems to be called from the client. Called from the client. My ID. This is actually interesting. So what does it get? Does it give an ID here? Host game. Join game. Successfully connected to server. My ID. No, it doesn't do that. Or it does. Get unique ID. Wait a minute. Yeah, it does. Join game. It knows its ID. Good. Let's read the docs for these. Connection failed. Multiplayer API establish a connection to a server only emitted on clients. Server disconnect only emitted on clients. Peer disconnected Clients get notified when other clients disconnect. On peer connected. Yeah, and that happens. Network manager peer connected. And then we have actually here, trying to run the RPC call. That runs. Trying. That runs, but then RPC ID, print from client, RPC ID, new peer ID. Let's do trying to run the RPC call on new peer ID. It doesn't get called on the client. Why not? Let's save as a variable like my ID. Which seems to be multiplayer.getUniqueID. Could probably do that in the ready function. My peer ID var my peer ID int. Let's see if this works. Yeah. Wait, my ID is 0. Okay, so it says, no, that didn't work. My ID 1, okay, that works. I just maybe need to remember this multiplayer get unique ID. Something is going on here. This is what I need to figure out. I'm calling print from client. Maybe something is wrong here. Let's do without arguments. We can just do multiplayer dot get unique ID. We don't need any arguments there. Still doesn't work. All right, let's try with a chatbot. We'll try with Grok again. Godot 4.4, why doesn't this RPC call reach the client? I'm debugging it, but the print from client function is not getting executed at all. Okay, let's make it easier. Once per client. Maybe we don't set given peer ID for now. We just do RPC generally. Now it worked. Actually, interesting. So now it actually calls it. RPC print from client was called. Finally. I think, or does it run it just on itself? Maybe just on itself. Was called on from What's up, Sam? How are you? Multiplayer dot get unique ID. Multiplayer dot get remote sender ID. You're doing great. Good to hear, man. Okay, no, it is actually running it on. It is actually running it on. I'm a connected client. Got message from one. Yeah. It actually does work. So why can I not run it on a specific ID? That's what I need to be able to do now. But okay, finally, at least the RPC actually works. What's up, Sogo? Yeah, it's for the RuneScape game. Inspired game. Exactly. Newly connected client, but nothing happens. Here's a step-by-step. Ooh, can be called by any peer. That's not good though. On the client, you should see both print statements, while on the server, you should see only RPC from client was called due to the if not multiplayer is server condition. Timing issues, better approach. Node not present on the client. Okay, no, so this actually, this works if I change it to use print from client RPC instead of RPC ID. The connection is fine. It's something that goes wrong with RPC ID. Because again, if we do this, new peer ID, it's not gonna work. Now it worked. What? Why did it work now? Strange. Very strange. Okay, I'm happy that it works though. Not gonna, I'll take that. Take that for sure. How are you doing, Sogo? Git status and manage to send RPC call to the connecting client now. What does the network manager need to keep track of? It needs to have like some data structure where it keeps track of all the dynamic stuff. Maybe we should have one that is like send over the full game state or something. Game state. That's a lot of information though. That's gonna be like characters. And their data. What if the server keeps track of the game state in a list? var game state. Let's say var dynamic objects. And then every time it spawns a character, player dynamic objects dot append player instance. Let's try to send how do I call RPC with an argument though? Is that the next argument? I guess so. Any argument after that. So I could probably send dynamic objects received dynamic objects. Oh wait, incoming objects. Let's call it something else. Receive dynamic objects, encoded object as ID. How to send state of objects RPC Godot. Serialize it. So maybe what's needed is on the player, on the character classes, some kind of serialize and deserialize them so we can actually get the data sent over. But how do we manage creation though? Maybe that could be managed with names, unique names. Player instance of name. Yeah, player 1. So it gets a list now. That's good. Now we just need to be able to serialize and deserialize. Is there some like default serialize or something? Probably not, because I've added a lot of stuff. You call it like RPC serialize. Oh, it's called func. We can simplify it. So for now, let's say and so on every dynamic object, we just need to serialize and deserialize. So if you're the client, you receive the data, you need to deserialize it and apply it on your dynamic object. How do we do JSON here? Data to send. Okay, we just said. So we can just do return location. No, position. Position is position. No worries, Sam. Have a good day. See you later. Then func RPCs deserialize. Position equals, and it's gonna have to be called with a data. Position equals data dot position, and then we do RPC here. So can I do, because I do get the incoming object here, so then probably I can do for object in incoming objects get node, or where do I put them in the tree? Game scene. And that's defined let's simplify it for now. This is going to have to be, need to add a check later. Need to add check later for game scene existing or not. Get node. Object. If get node, if not, get node object. we need to know what type it is as well. Instantiate. Is there like a type or something? Type. Can I in Godot check what type an object is with code? Because if I deserialize an object, it probably tell the client what type of object it is if it needs to spawn it. Maybe I just need to hard code that in the deserialization or in the serialization. I think it got a grip now of what has to be done. Especially useful when deserializing objects, so the client knows what types to spawn. Is get class. Player instance.name. Name class player instance.get class. That's object dot name. Cannot convert argument 1 from string name to node path. Why? That's weird. Maybe the name I'm getting is actually not a string. It was something else. Post game, join game. Yeah. Name and class, character body 3D. Okay, so the class is a character body 3D. That doesn't help. So we need to tell it what instance it is. Class, let's call it player. Or like resource, can we find the resource? Can we find the resource path? That would be the best. File name. Player instance dot file name. Oh, it's file name as one word. No, there is no such property. All right, let's simplify it a bit. Object type. I'll just hardcode this for now. We'll call it player. Object type player. And we can probably do string here to make this into a string instead. And then based on that, we should be able to spawn this player. Player and player. Player 1 and player. Perfect. Print from client. We don't need to make this into a string now because it should already be a string. So if not get node object name, if object dot type dot object type is player, for now we could call the spawn player character. So how do I get the ID out of here? Need to do a string split. Can I string split in GD script? I have player 1 and I want to extract 1. The number could be more digits. There should be like a local spawn. There shouldn't be a spawn that just goes out to all. Or maybe on every tick we shouldn't send all information, but just whatever changes. It's a lot to think about here. I like it. And I actually have to go. var player ID equals object dot name dot split -1, and then I need to make this into an integer. Player ID. Object type, not object dot type. Actually, a player gets spawned now. Perfect. That's cool. That's really cool. Progress. Here spawning between clients. First spawn works. Need to also send updates on later spawns. For some reason, that RPC call doesn't work. The one in the bottom here. But yeah, I think I understand this a bit better now. All right. Let's go. All right, I gotta go. See you later. Take care. Bye-bye. See you next time.